Okay, somebody in the comments of my last video had requested an overview of the propane conversion on my 1980 Clark Bobcat Model 732. I'm going to go over this as best I know because I'm still learning the system. And this was all installed when I bought the machine. The tank sits on its side on those brackets up there, and this is the main line that hooks to the tank. This line goes into this fitting that is mounted to the frame under here. It plugs in here. Coming out of that is another line that's excessively long and goes into this. I thought this was a regulator. It is not. According to IMCO, which is the company that makes the conversion kits, this is a fuel filter and a cutoff. And how it works is it has a vacuum connection, and it gets a vacuum pulse when you are starting or running the engine and pulls fuel through the through the filter. You can take this off and replace the filter. They are serviceable. And when you shut off the engine, the vacuum stops and it closes a valve so that no more fuel can come through to the engine. Coming out of there is another fuel line, which goes here and into this. This is the propane regulator. It goes in one side and through and out the back over there. Sorry for the video. Okay, it comes out the back there, goes down, all the way down into the carburetor, which is right there, which is also in IMCO. There's a sticker on it. There it is. And that's the carburetor, and that goes into, sorry, I'm doing this on my phone, the intake manifold, into the bottom of the intake manifold. Coming out the top of the, or going into or coming out of, whatever you want to say, the intake manifold, there is a water line. Okay, so that regulator is heated. It comes down, goes into here, and there's the main radiator hose right there, going up and into the radiator. And then of course it comes back down and into the water pump there. So it's getting heated from the hot coolant so it doesn't freeze. I, again, am just learning how all of this system works. But I was able to place a call to IMCO, and they, shout out to Harry, I think his name was, they were able to help me understand sort of what this was, what its purpose was. And also I learned that on the bottom of the regulator, there's a button right there. Let's see if I can get my big paw in there. There we go. So he said that when you're trying to start the engine, you can crank it a little bit and stop, and this button should become hard. And then you can keep cranking the engine and you should feel this pulsating. And that's how you know that the carburetor is working properly, is if this button is, if you can feel it pulsating. He called it a primer button. I didn't know that was there. A couple issues I did have. The first one was I had a bad line, propane line. Then I had to have this made at my local shop. I reused this connector because the shop made a new line for me and put that end on and put this end on, but they would not put this connector on. They said for liability reasons, I guess because of its age, or they just don't want to reuse it. I don't know. So I put some yellow Teflon tape on. The yellow Teflon tape is made for gas, and I tightened this on. This has a check valve here, so that's closed. And then what I did is I took my compressor and I put my compressor to this end, sprayed some, as Andrew Camarada says, some bubbly soap on this, and I pressurized it with my air hose, and I did not get any bubbles, so I know that this line is good. When I hooked it back up, I was still getting a propane smell for whatever reason. So I took my trusty bubbly soap and I sprayed it on all the lines, and they were all good. But when I sprayed it on this regulator, or on this filter, I mean, I'll try and put a picture in the video if I can in line right now. But there were bubbles all the way around this thing, and I was like, oh, I guess I got to replace it. But then I went around with a screwdriver and I tightened all these screws because they were kind of loose. And then I pressurized it again, and it stopped bubbling. So apparently either they worked themselves loose, or either they worked themselves loose, or somebody was in there replacing that filter and didn't tighten it down enough. But it works good now, and I don't have any other leaks anywhere in any of those hoses. It's been pressurized and I don't have any other leaks, which is good, because when I was starting it before, I was getting a gas smell from the propane, and it was leaking out of there. And I want to see if I can find my other hose around here somewhere that I replaced. It should be over here. I've got skid steer parts laying everywhere. Here it is. So yeah, this hose definitely saw better days. And so that needed to be replaced. I'm not sure, I didn't spray any soap on this before I had it replaced, so not sure if it actually was leaking, but from the look of it, I'm pretty sure it was. It was pretty bad. On one end, I mean, you can see on this part, I mean, it's even down to the metal. So, not sure why my phone isn't auto-focusing. It's kind of annoying. But in any case, that is the update that I have for now. What I've been working on, cleaning, lots and lots of cleaning. I got all of the steering bushings put back together and pressed out and then pressed in, the new ones. All of those linkages put back together, and I mean, that was a royal pain. I had to take that off, I had to take that off, I had to take that off in the back. That one, I had to replace those pucks, those silver pucks that you see. The ones that were in there were, they had wear spots in them. And you'll never be able to center the steering in this thing if you don't have good, if you don't have those, let me start again. If those have flat spots on them and they're not round, or if the blocks they rest against have divots in them from where you'll never get this thing to not creep. So I ordered new pucks, I took the blocks, and you can reuse those because those just flip over. But the pucks are only threaded in a hole on one side, so you can't reuse them. You have to get them. I got mine from Amazon, but you can get them from Bobcat if you like spending money. So anyway, I got all that back together. That's all buttoned together. It's not tight because I need to run the machine and, you know, tweak where these are in order to get that centered so that it won't creep. I drained the chain case last night of all the old oil, so I know it doesn't look empty, but it is. I'm not sure what was in there for oil, but I sucked it out with that thing that I bought at Harbor Freight, which took forever because the oil was cold and thick. I filled that, and those each hold 3.5 gallons, and this is almost full, and that holds 2.5 gallons. So somewhere around 7.5, 8 gallons I pulled out of that thing, and I believe the chain case takes 11 or 12 gallons total when it's full. There is no drain hole, you just have to suck it out when you want to change it. There's a fill hole in the front right there, and when you fill this thing, you just basically fill it up until oil starts coming out of that hole, and that's how you know it's full. Which seems weird because when I got this thing, there's oil leaking out of here, out of the axle seals. So I don't know if it was too full or what the deal was. Everything I was told says only fill it until the oil starts coming out of that hole, and once it starts coming out of that hole, you stop. I don't know. I gotta figure it out. I gotta read up some more. I got new tires to replace the old and aging tires. So those were $100 each plus tax. I got them locally. They are 10 ply. They are Power King 10 ply, 10 by 16.5. The old ones were only 8 ply, but these are the same size, so that's good. I got them, the old ones off the wheels, and turns out the wheels need some love because they are very corroded on the inside. That one especially has a ton of mud on the inside. So, you know, I mean, look at this machine was just so abused. So I gotta get those sandblasted and get the wheels and tires back on. These are the old ones. So, anyway, that's the update I have. And a little bit explanation of the propane system. Still tackling with cleaning, still trying to clean up some of the wiring, and just working as I can on it. Keep up with the channel for updates. Leave a comment if you want. Thank you.